Raw.
He seemed genuinely scared many times in this episode.
Extreme.
Just left to be confused for a decent period of time.
Amusing. Ugh.
We are Guide to the Unknown, and these are our Ghost Adventures.
Hello, welcome to Ghost Adventures. I'm Kristen, and this week I have a very special guest host with me, Bethany Watson. Bethany is from an Acquired Taste podcast. She's an actress. She's a writer. She is an all-around Renaissance woman, and we are thrilled to have her today. Thank you so much, Bethany.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. I am such a fan of yours and Will's and your work together. And this podcast is a dream come true. I think I speak for many people. Bless you for bringing this into the world.
Thank you very, very much for acknowledging our baby, our hard work.
I think when you texted me and said that you were thinking about doing this podcast, and I think I just yelled at you through the phone. I think I just texted at you and was like, you better do it.
You must. You must. And it was a big catalyst for it happening. I was like, all right.
You know, threats, they always make things happen.
100%. Now, you are a big fan of Ghost Adventures. You actually just talked about Ghost Adventures as the subject on an Acquired Taste recently.
Yeah, so my sister and her husband call it Ghosty Boys, and so I call it Ghosty Boys, and now you call it Ghosty Boys.
It's a perfect name.
It is perfect, and it really is descriptive. I love the show. I've loved it for years. I got started watching Ghost Hunters because I used to travel a lot for work, and so anytime I was in the hotel, it always seemed to be on. And then somehow that led to me watching Ghosty Boys.
Oh yeah.
And I think just watching the arc of Zach's development as a man from like volatile little boy where he is right now, where we're meeting him, to where he is in our present day, which is a highly sensitive I almost said intellectual, probably not intellectual, but like
thoughtful.
Has a lot thoughtful.
Yeah.
Definitely thoughtful. Self-aware.
Yes.
And a bit of a calmer dresser, I think, has been a very fun transition to watch.
Yeah. So I've been watching it backwards, basically, because I came to him as this iteration of himself and have gone back in time and seen his origins. And you're right, sparklier in every way, louder in every way. Maybe not volume-wise. He's probably just as loud now.
Yeah. But his energy was much louder. And yeah, he goes from like being kind of a Las Vegas dude bro,
right, to
now being, I think, like a modern day Ripley. Like for the Ripley's, believe it or not, he's like our what's Ripley's first name? Ted?
Yeah,
Ted. He's Ted. He's our Ted Ripley.
Ted Ripley works for me. Yeah, you know what? It's Ted. It doesn't matter.
It's Ted now.
You know what? You're absolutely right. I know that Will and I have compared him to P.T. Barnum in the past.
Yes.
But Ripley is a little bit more dead on, especially as it pertains to the museum.
Yeah, and they did, I was watching Screaming Room, which is just bless its heart because they're repackaging an old show and still making content from it. And they had investigated Ripley's Believe It or Not museum, and he said in that he really identifies with Ripley and with Ted. And I think that he's right. I think that, like, not to be too broad about it, but I think we might look back at Zach Bagans and be like, he is the one now of this generation who collects these oddities.
Yes. Yeah. He brings a hokey showmanship to it, and I don't even necessarily use that in a derogative way. This bombasticness to it that I don't think we've seen, for better or worse, in other public figures.
Completely. He knows who he is.
Right.
He's figured out his brand, and he fully leans into it without any sense of embarrassment. There's no apologies. Like he has the finances to collect the strangest of the strange. And it's like every group of people needs to have like kind of the reject keeper of all the secrets.
Yes.
And he's ours.
He truly is. And I didn't realize that being a wedding DJ paid as well as it does, apparently.
I think if you're a wedding DJ who somehow gets your hands on Michael Jackson's like propofol chair and you start charging tickets.
One. That was I remember when I heard he got that, I was like, ugh. That's just sad. And
I know,
and
that
weird.
One was tough.
It's a toughie. Yeah. But I'm still, you know what? God bless him. I'm so glad he's out there doing that. And also, I think that you touched on something with his self-awareness, because I can forgive or just kind of accept so many things when they're coming from somebody who's self-aware about the fact that they're doing them.
Yeah, because it seems more like a choice than anything else. And you got to respect someone for making a strong choice.
Yeah.
Even if you don't agree with it, it's like, okay, but you leaned in.
Right.
And not everyone can do that.
I see your choice. Also, have you been following his relationship with Holly Madison at all online?
Okay. So every once in a while, I will do a Google search of Zach Bagans, and it does autofill previous searches I have made, which is like dating.
Right.
And so I see them together, and I don't know if I follow her on Instagram or if I just like hover.
Yeah, touchdown.
Yeah. But I like that he doesn't make a lot of appearances on her social media.
Yes.
I like that he gets photo credit every once in a while, but they're not like all over each other for the attention of the relationship. And I think it's a perfect relationship because I think she is the female Zach Bagans.
Yeah.
Because he is like hyper masculine, especially in his old days.
Right.
He was hyper masculine. She is hyper feminine, right? Like he's aggro, and she's, she was a Playboy model. So she's like the very seductive, curvy, sexy blonde. He is super showmanshipy about what he does. She was very showwomanshippy. Yeah. I think they have so much in common, and it's perfect. They're perfect.
Are so right. They each embody this like American man or woman archetype. They're like the pinnacle of what those things can be at their most outer lying limits.
Yes. Yeah. Like he is buff in the tight t-shirts and she is sexy in the tiny bikinis. And like, if you were not an American, but all you did was take in early 2000s American pop culture, you would be like, these are clearly the best Americans.
This is your president and first lady, no? Yeah.
These are all of you. And we would have looked at back in our affliction t-shirts and been like, yeah.
You know what? You're right. This was all of us.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. I find it fascinating to watch. And I've noticed the same things as you. I like how low key they keep it. Like he just gets his photo credit sometimes. He comments on her pictures with emojis and stuff. She recently explicitly referred to her boyfriend in a post, but she didn't say Zach. She said, my boyfriend is a Slytherin. And because she was talking about Harry Potter stuff. And I like it too. I like that it's
this.
A little bit under the radar.
Yeah, you don't have to shove it in our faces. A true love can be Instagram official, but subtly so.
I know.
And I like that.
I kind of like it too. I don't think I've ever talked about this on any show before. It's a very, very slight detour. But I have a formula that is proven just to me for when people are maybe headed for breakup and then when a breakup is taking place.
Tell me everything.
Okay. And they haven't exhibited any of these. So it shows how pure their love is. That's what just made me think about it. Okay.
Okay, good.
Very, very, very showy, demonstrably lovey couples, like kind of writing big like screeds about or to each other on one or both of their Instagrams. I'm always keeping an eye on a little bit because it's so big that either A, it might not be totally grounded and it kind of burns out after a while. It's a little bit more what's called infatuation, perhaps, rather than like deep grounded love. Yeah. And or it's maybe compensating a little bit. Now, those are a little bit less set in stone and tried and true than my next thing, which is how I can tell somebody is breaking up or they're already broke up. That's a red flag for me. This is like the red flag is waving and something is happening.
I'm so excited about this.
Okay, notice this, and it's very specific. These two things, these two elements taken separately mean nothing. Put together means something to me.
Okay.
When a person is posting a lot of selfies, coupled with inspirational quotes.
Oh, you're right.
They're on their way out, or they've just broken up. Separately,
they're on a journey.
They're just doing their thing, but together, they're
on a journey.
They're on a journey there, and it's understandable. I'm not even mocking. It's just something that I've noticed.
No.
Like they're doing some selfies because they maybe kind of want to feel themselves, get a little positive reinforcement, and the quotes are also kind of similar positive reinforcement. And it's something I've kept my eye on. I've thought about. And it's been proven to me time and time again.
And I think you're spot on. And I think the positive quotes can double. Either they are building the person up or they are kind of being passive aggressively snipping at the person that they are either breaking up with or just broke up. Like, you know, if you're newly out of a very controlling relationship and you post something about horses just have to be let free to run, you know, I think that tells a story and we all know what's going on.
We all know. So kind of neither here nor there, but I have noticed none of that on the social media presences of Zach Bagans or Holly Madison. So far, so good.
They seem to be the healthiest of all of us.
I think they are.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into the episode. So, if you've heard the show before, you'll know I'm going to give just a little bit of a summary of the backstory of the place that they investigate in this episode, and then Bethany and I are going to go back and forth, kind of talking about some highlights from the show. So here we go. We have gone international. Sweet ass Edinburgh. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Edinburgh?
I think Edinburgh.
Okay, Edinburgh looks spooky right off the bat. Gray weather, fog, medieval buildings, cliffs, and below the tunnels known as the Edinburgh Vaults. Oh boy. In the 1800s, a lot of the poor and disadvantaged lived underground in the vaults back in the day. There were desperate people doing desperate things, including, it's presumed, stealing bodies from the nearby graveyard to sell to the nearby medical school. It's said that the bodies were stored underground in the vaults until they could be discreetly traveled with. The vaults were eventually filled in and sealed up until ownership was transferred in 1990, when they were cleaned out and resurrected. It wasn't long until the reports of hauntings began. There are stories of a female ghost who's antagonistic to pregnant women, a little boy named Jack who's sweet and playful, holding people's hands, tugging on coats and throwing stones, and there's even a ghost dog running about. However, there's also a big mama ghost that they call Mr. Boots, who's like the head boss down there. They say he wears big boots and a hat and has no eyes, shouting, "Get out!" at people. Basically, this place is lousy with wee ghosties. I wonder what our wee boyos will make of it. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Done.
I couldn't force myself to try the accent when I got to the word we. I couldn't do it.
No, it's risky. I was watching the episode and thinking, thank God I don't have to be the one to summarize this, because there was a lot of history. And they went heavy on it.
And I like that about this episode. It definitely was heavier than previous episodes on the history and eyewitness stuff, but I really enjoyed that. So it was
this
my
show
honor.
isn't normally like lousy with facts.
No.
So this was a nice change of pace.
Yeah, it usually seems like they're kind of like full speeding ahead to get to the investigation, but this one I think it was undeniable that there was so much stuff going on that they had to talk about it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's break into our first category, the most convincing piece of evidence. Bethany, why don't you start?
Most convincing piece of evidence.
So I can't say that I was terribly convinced by any of the actual quote-unquote evidence that these gentlemen seem to believe they gathered in this episode.
I feel like this is always just a very relatively speaking category because I don't know that I've been like, this means ghosts exists about anything.
Yeah. So for this episode, actually to me, the most convincing piece of evidence was all of the people above ground who were nervous for the Ghosty Boys to go underground, because especially there was one tour guide who, I don't remember her name, who who said she'd been giving tours for like 8 years at this place, and that she didn't believe in ghosts when she first started, and now she certainly does. And she seemed to have like a fairly grounded mom type. And so that to me was more convincing. Or the random woman outside the Quiznos who was like, before you go under, go to the graveyard and see if you're brave enough. Those people really made me feel like, okay, these are people who live here. If they believe something is going on, then maybe something's going on.
Right. I almost always find those things more convincing than any orb or anything. Just the general sentiment that people who hang around that place have makes me think like, something is up. Also, that lady outside the Quiznos, they briefly said that she would, I think, or she said it. She's like, well, I'm a psychic. I've been down there. Yeah. I wanted to know more about that.
I feel like they gloss over anything that might take away the shine from them, which I understand. But like, I want to hear more about the psychic. She seemed fantastic.
I think you're not incorrect about that. I know. She really delivered a lot. And she also told them that they should go to the Grey Friar Cemetery or whatever. Yeah. This lady was like a wealth of knowledge. Yeah.
I wonder if they have more. Like, I would love to see more of their interviews with her. I'm sure they cut them way, 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 way down. But she was cool. I would want to find her again. Yeah, I liked her a lot. But that was really... I didn't get a lot of evidence. I really felt like much of anything.
I know. There were a lot of moments that we were meant to think are big evidence booms. Yeah. So I included some of those. Like something that I think was, they played it up as very significant was that EMF spiking while they were examining Nick's head while they were underground in the vaults. Yeah. And Nick said his head was burning. They did a lot of that, like they're turning around, the camera's going crazy, like things are going nuts. And I think that might be a pattern that we see. Generously, you could say, when ghostly activity is happening, that naturally, of course, they get flustered. If you're looking at it with a little bit more of a critical eye, you could say this is a tactic to make you think that there's a lot going on all of a sudden.
Oh, it seems very busy and very hectic. And yeah, it's just 3 guys. And I think that this is also, why it's a good thing that in subsequent seasons, they added more staff, more camera people, because that way, because if 2 people are freaking out, only one person is there, and heaven forbid 3 people freak out. And now no one's a, reliable narrator. Yeah. So I like that in moving on, we get a few more people. Cause that was tough. And I put that under a different category.
I gotta say that the most convincing and worst evidence categories for me are always very hard to fill. I almost just wonder if it would just be evidence because
I know it's just like anything.
I don't really feel super great about most of it because like Will and I have said in the show before, without being there, you can always find a plausible way that they might have faked it. So it's hard to really believe, but it is more fun to believe. Yes. So,
Yes. No, you're right. You're right about that.
Yeah. So it's cool. What I thought was like, obviously could be faked, but I was like, or it could just be an old building settling, but I felt like it was an impactful bit of evidence. I liked the teddy bear moving that they ended with. I thought it was a fun, boom.
That was really cool. Mm-hmm. I definitely want to believe. I do believe in the paranormal and ghosts. I want to believe that this show is real. But I couldn't turn off the part of my brain that was like, okay, but the camera that was on the teddy bear was profoundly out of focus. Mm-hmm. And it would have made it even easier to attach a string to like the corner of the room and then out to pull on a string and make that teddy bear jerk like it did. Yes. And you can't see it if it's out of focus. But it was cool. It was cool. And it was nice to see something concrete on camera versus everyone feeling goosebumps.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's almost like we should maybe just call this like fun evidence or something. You know what I mean? I'm not convinced. I equally think that like it would be easy enough to fake that, but it's nice to have a razzle dazzle moment in the midst of all of this.
Yeah, I agree with that. Can I, since we're just doing evidence?
Let's just do evidence. Let's just go. Yeah.
Okay. So I have some worst evidence, but now it's just fun evidence.
Yeah. Let's just, whatever evidence you have written down, let's just free for all it.
So going back to when Nick says he has fingers in his hair. Yeah. So we're looking, I think, at Zach, and then Nick yells about his hair, and we pan over to Nick, and his head is like brushing the ceiling of the vaults. And so when he's like, something touched my hair, and his hair is rubbing against the ceiling, I'm like, well, bro, okay.
My God.
But, you know, great. And then an orb goes into Zach's neck, which I don't know. And then everyone starts screaming about everything hurting.
Right.
But it was a very interesting moment because this whole episode was very fraught with a power struggle. And if you know that Nick ends up leaving the show, you can see it beginning now.
Yes.
There's a couple of times where Zach pulls rank on him, and it's very uncomfortable. And this is one of those times where he's basically like, put your camera down. Put your camera down and come over here and let me put this meter on your head. And it was very uncomfortable.
Yes, I have absolutely, I was about to say it sounds like not right. I've been on crack watch, meaning the cracks in their foundation. It just makes it sound like I'm on watch for their ass crack. Yeah, I have been watching for the cracks in their relationship because I know that there's obviously a fracture that happens. And you are absolutely right. I feel like they have been ramping up, and you can particularly see them in this episode.
Yeah. And did you notice too, I have this, hold on, let me go down to my notes. There's a moment when they first go down into the vault, and first of all, Zach is like, I don't have my flashlights yet. I feel like you should have maybe planned ahead.
Yes.
But he tells Nick, use your camera light, Nick, to light our way. And maybe a minute or two after, he says to Nick, turn that big light off. And he kind of gives him this really dirty look.
Yes.
And again, it was really subtle, but it was very interesting to watch. You can see that sometimes Nick tries to talk to camera and narrate as well. And I get the impression that Nick was promised a very different show. And
that's an interesting thought.
This is my theory, is that the three of them did the documentary and they sold it, and they were promised to be three friends ghost hunting. And I think that I have no proof for any of this, by the way. This is all speculation. I think that Travel Channel saw that Zach was the dynamic one, maybe had a private meeting with Zach and said, we're going to make you the lead, but we're not going to tell anybody. And so then Nick and Aaron weren't on the same page until later. And I think that caused some hurt feelings. I made that all up, but I have a vibe. That's the vibe I get.
I think you're onto something. That makes sense to me. And also, I think I learned it from you on An Acquired Taste that Aaron and Nick were actually friends.
Yeah.
First, who later met Zach, which I was very surprised to hear. It may have just been my perspective, knowing that Aaron and Zach are still together, but I kind of assumed that Aaron and Zach were like old buddies.
I did
and that
too.
Nick was the outlier.
Yeah. But again, like, that's coming from Nick. He did an interview, I think just earlier this year, where he's talking to a podcast about the whole experience. And his story is that he and Aaron met, and then they met Zach. So, you know, you don't know really whose side to believe, but But I really do think if you watch this episode again with Nick being on a different show, he is on a different show. He's on a show where they're all equals, and Zach is on a show where he's the host. And it's coming down the pike, and you can see it happening.
Ooh. Oochie walla walla. Oochie bang bang. I think that is something.
It's a
Bethany.
thing to watch. I'm sad Will's not here because I wanted to cheer him on his Ghost Adventures journey, because he doesn't even know what he's in for. He's so lucky. He has just this whole world opening up for him. What a place.
What a blessing.
Yeah, what
Truly.
a blessing.
I can't wait for him to hear this. Hear you say that, but also hear this theory, because I think that this makes a ton of sense.
I just think. But again, no proof. I made it all up, but
I don't know. I think the proof might be in the pudding. And the pudding is the show.
And the show is delicious.
Yes, that's right. It goes down real smooth. Let's see. Do you have any other pieces of evidence that you noted down that could fit anywhere?
Yes. So at the end of the episode, I don't know, 2/3 of the way through, they hear a quote unquote dragging noise that goes on for like 5 minutes.
Yes.
Did that sound to you like cars rhythmically going over a sheet of metal above ground?
I couldn't tell what the hell it sounded like. But I was thinking the same thing. I was like, well, you are in a tunnel that's below the ground with foot traffic over it. I know that it's the middle of the night, but even so, it's not like you are in this contained thing. There's still a world right above you. That's
the tough thing, and it's I'm guessing very echoey, but I did like that sound, whatever it was, whether it was cars or whether it was like the ghost of a man dragging a body. It was very interesting, and it had to have been terrifying in the moment. I can only imagine. I loved
absolutely.
That. Yeah.
I did too. I also liked their reaction to it. They seemed genuinely puzzled and freaked out. And if you're actually puzzled and freaked out in the moment, to have that moment last 5-6 minutes would be so intense.
Yeah. It's and the fact that it even shuts Zach up. And again, I love this man, but he's a talker. He's a showman. Mm-hmm. The fact that he was being quiet and absorbing, they had to have been terrified. It was really fascinating.
Right. I thought so too. That moment definitely stood out to me, both in their reaction and also but there's a very easy, plausible reason this could be happening. Although I will say it's, the middle of the night. It's less likely that there be a whole lot of activity up there, but still not impossible, of course.
Yeah, who knows? And we also don't know how far down they were, if they were 4 stories underground or if they were right underground. And yeah, it's hard.
Was
it's
the
hard
street
to know.
Right up there.
Yeah.
Completely.
That's all I have.
The only other thing I have was the unexplained scratching noise when Zach is in Mr. Boots's room.
Yeah.
That he really, really freaks out about.
Yeah.
His reaction seemed crazy to me. He seemed very jumpy backy, which again, the greatest showman.
Yeah.
But
I wonder if it's a little bit like, if you're on a reality show, they often don't let you contact your family. They don't let you contact your friends because they want this world to be your entire world. And so your reactions get heightened because you have no, concept of reality.
Right.
I feel like I wonder if it's that, where they've been underground for so long. It probably is a very scary place, so your reactions probably are over the top. But it was a huge reaction for a tiny scrape.
Yes.
But I don't know. It was probably very frightening.
I would lose my mind at any of these things that happen at a quarter of their power.
Totally.
So
yeah, completely. Yeah. My cat made a noise last night and I was pretty sure I was being murdered. So, it's fine. I get it.
I'll go flying. So I have to say, I do like you and like Will find myself drawn to their reactions to things and seeing validity in that more than the actual things themselves.
Yeah.
And he seemed genuinely scared when that happened. So it just, it popped out to me as all right, this guy's freaked out and maybe there's something to that.
He seemed genuinely scared many times in this episode. There was one time in Mr. Boots' room that he seemed like he was almost crying.
He was making a lot of faces I feel like I've never seen him make before.
Yeah, they were new.
They were new.
He seemed very, very fragile at a couple moments, which I really liked. He's being vulnerable and it's authentic. It's hard to fake that.
All right, so let's talk about some other things of varying validity. Let's talk about the feelings that they experienced, both physical and non-physical.
Feelings.
So, at one point in Mr. Boots' room, Zach says that his whole body is completely frozen.
Yes.
And he says that a lot, and it seems to really be bothering him. I don't know. I found that very interesting. I don't know if I have any feelings other than, wow.
No, just noting it. Yeah, totally.
Cold.
He keeps talking about, boy, that sure seems cold.
Man.
He keeps talking about there being sudden blasts of cold air.
Yes.
And at one point he says, I'm freezing my effing nuts off.
Yes. And again, I didn't see any holes. in the wall.
It seemed pretty solid.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know how currents of air, shoot through tunnels. But it seemed very unnerving. And yeah, he was talking a lot about being freezing. And then, of course, we have Nick and the burning fingers on his head.
Yeah, what do you think about that? First of all, I thought it was funny that he kept saying that fingers brush against his hair because his hair is so short.
Yeah.
It's really just a semantics thing. I was like, okay, so they brushed against your head.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you could distinguish those two things. It doesn't even matter, but I just thought it was funny that he was saying his hair.
It's hair to him. For us, it's just very short and it might as well be bald. But for him, he's working with it.
It's his hair, right?
It's his hair. I found it to be one of those situations where they all build off of each other.
Yes, they were
with their
pumping
fear.
each other up.
Yeah. And sometimes it's fun. I didn't hate it. I kind of like that they were all freaking out. And poor Aaron is the one who has to capture it all. Like he basically is this like puppy and his two masters are both freaking out and the puppy is in charge of holding down the fort. Like he just seemed lost and scared.
That's an excellent point. I know Aaron got a little bit lost in the sauce in this episode. He wasn't locked away by himself anywhere, and I'm happy about that for him. Thank God.
Yeah.
But we didn't get to see as many Aaron reaction shots.
I know. We really only the one that I really liked was when he felt the ghost puppy, the ghost dog, and his face when he gets scared, he turns into an emoji because his mouth makes a perfect circle when he goes.
Yes.
And he has the best face and he does it right to camera. Like it's like right under his chin and then he makes the emoji face and it's darling and charming. And I like that he's the one who felt the dog.
I do too. He deserves to be the one who felt a puppy for once and not a demon saying, I don't like you. Like a few episodes ago.
I hate Zach.
I hate Zach. I'm thinking backwards. He said, do you like me? Aaron, when he was like locked upstairs in, I think, Houghton Mansion.
Yeah. I feel like Aaron needs to be protected.
Yes, at all costs.
At all costs.
All right, let's move on to a fun one. I noticed some new additions in this category. Let's talk about the Bagan's wardrobe check.
Bagan's wardrobe check.
Okay.
Bethany, what you got?
I loved his choice of wardrobe. Now,
yes,
especially in the intro when he's above ground, I did a bit of a deep dive and I could not find the exact shirt he was wearing. However,
oh my God,
I think it is either a Tap Out brand shirt,
oh my God,
an Affliction brand shirt, or a Conflict brand shirt.
Oh my, all right.
And Conflict with the K. I think it's an MMA brand.
Okay.
I did find a visually similar shirt on Amazon because I did a reverse Google image search. And you can get that shirt by Conflict on Amazon for $24.99. Now, it's not Prime. However, it is like a giant cross.
This is
with
fantastic.
A black shirt. So, and his was bedazzled, and I could not find a bedazzled one, which is why it was so hard to find.
What if it was custom?
Oh, I bet it was custom.
What if he got that shirt, but he was like, I just wish it had bedazzling on it.
Yeah, I wish I had more bling bling.
Yeah.
But
not
I think,
impossible.
No, of course not. No, not for him. And then I think his pants were, I don't think they're Jenkos. I do believe that they're Dickies loose fit.
Yes, I think the exact same thing. Exact same thing. They're definitely not Jenkos, but he's going for a looser fit.
Yeah.
And I also say Dickies, partially because of the dating of this. In this time period, Dickies were very hot.
Dickies were hot. They may have been the double knee. I don't know, but you can get a visually similar pair for $66.50 on the internet. So really, I feel like Zach's wardrobe is really pretty affordable at this time. He's not working with that big money quite yet.
Not quite yet. They're still in their first season of this.
Yeah. But he looks like Zach in this episode. Like this is the stereotypical Zach Baggins that we know from the early 2000s.
Oh, absolutely.
I was pleased with it. I was
happy to see it. You love to see it.
You love to see it. You love to see it. And it looked, frankly, so comfortable because all you have to do is suck in your stomach. Everything else is completely hidden.
Absolutely.
Your legs.
It's tactical, frankly.
Yeah. So
he
many
knows
pockets.
what he's doing.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So many pockets. galore for flashlights that you forget.
Dude, why don't you have any flashlights? You knew you were going into the underground and you have so many pockets.
Absolutely. I also noticed that his hair was extra spiky this episode. Or there was more of a division between spikes. There was a little bit more room between the slats of this fence that is his hair.
Yeah, I agree with that. Maybe he was using a wider tooth comb in the final moments. Yeah. His hair is a journey as well. And, and with... It's tough because he has very straight hair, I'm guessing. And so there's often not a lot of like fullness or body to it.
I think that's why we're seeing so much product. The fullness and body has to be manufactured because it's not there naturally.
What do you do once you've put all the product in? What do you do with the bangs? Do you flip them up like a duck? Do you slick them back? Do you do like a dad haircut where it's down the side? It's tough. You don't know what to do. It's hard.
Maybe it's that kind of thing. Remember when you would go in the pool and put your head down, then flip it back up and be like, I'm Martha Washington. Maybe that's the method.
I have never done that. Do it again.
Oh, really? Wait, does that... Maybe not everybody does this.
No, do it again. Say it again.
If this is a thing that's just me... that I thought everyone did. Oh my God. Is anything nerdier? No.
You know how you jump in front of a car and do a dance and say, twiddle my thumbs, Mister. Like, that's the way you said it. Like, it was the most common thing in the world.
My life is flashing. I absolutely thought everyone did this.
It's very possible that everyone does except for me.
I
Say
don't
it
know,
again.
Bethany. I don't know. Okay. When you're in a pool when you're a kid or the ocean, you go in there, you put your head upside down under the water, and then when it comes back up, you take it all and flip it behind you so you've got like a big fat roll all around your forehead.
And then what do you say?
I'm Martha Washington. Oh my.
That's amazing. I'm crying.
Something to look at.
That's amazing. And I hope that's
so maybe
exactly
Zach
what
doesn't do that.
No, I think he does. I'm like sweating. I'm laughing so hard.
Oh my God. My glasses are starting to fog.
I cannot wait I can't wait to go swimming. This is why quarantine needs to be over so I can go swimming and play this Martha Washington.
You're gonna love it. Oh my God. I'm Martha Washington. Holy moly.
I'm so happy I'm here.
Oh, me too. Oh, thank you. Oh God.
Fan.
Okay.
Oof.
Okay. All right, Martha Washington. We'll let that wash over. Okay, I have another water-based thing to point out. I liked it when he was using his open umbrella as a cane.
Yes.
When he was walking through the Greyfriar Cemetery.
He didn't even have it closed. He just had it sort of like hanging open.
Like half-mast.
Half-mast. He was, and you know what? Good on you.
Absolutely. It was brief, but I just kind of liked it.
Yeah.
The last thing that I noticed was that there was a new ring on the scene that we haven't seen on him before. He was wearing a chunky silver skull and crossbones ring.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Mm-hmm. It was like, I noticed it in the very beginning, and then maybe it wasn't on the whole time.
Uh-huh.
But I was like, I don't know that we've seen a ring or like an accessory like that. We've seen like a necklace and his belt buckle, obviously.
Obviously.
But I don't think but I don't think he'd had a ring before.
I like this. I didn't even notice that. You know, I don't know if I've noticed his jewelry a ton because I'm so distracted by the... Yeah, he doesn't strike me as one. I have to go back and watch a fourth time and look for the ring.
I think in earlier episodes he was wearing just like a kind of simple chain necklace.
Got to
sometimes, but nothing too elaborate, really.
You don't want it getting in the way tactically.
No.
You know, if you're running, you don't want it to get caught on something. If you're holding up your hands
against a ghost,
you don't want your ring to get caught. You know, on some sort of stalactite. So he's smart. Just a little bit of accent jewelry is great.
Yeah, he's thinking it through, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to another category that's always hard to define, but is still fun. Strange moves.
Okay. I didn't know what to put here, but I fear blank space. So I put...
That's fine. And it can be short. Mine's pretty short.
I put... this is one of the first and maybe only times that we see people talking about Zach behind his back. Aaron and Nick were talking about Zach behind his back, and not in a great way.
Yes.
And, like, you don't really realize it when it doesn't happen, but you realize how violating it is when it does happen. And so I immediately felt like, oh no, because Aaron was saying,
see this.
Yeah. Aaron was like, I can't believe he's, provoking Mr. Boots. And then Nick was like, yeah, I wouldn't have done that. And I just was traumatized.
I know. I wonder what Zach thought back when
he was
saw
pissed.
that. I bet he let Aaron kind of get away with it, but he didn't like when Nick chimed in as well. Because you're right. I mean, you can feel the tension between them.
Yeah.
That
was
definitely
interesting.
Jumped out.
Yeah. That was the only one I had for strange moves.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I don't have a whole lot. I at first put this in most dramatic moment, but I switched it to strange moves. The presence of candelabras when they were investigating.
I literally I wrote down, do we know why Des Brogan and Zach are carrying a staff and candelabra?
Yeah, Des Brogan's was very weird. That was also something I wanted to thank you, because I wanted to make sure we had his name, Des Brogan.
Oh, he's a superstar.
Absolutely. Yeah, Des Brogan's apparatus was something I've never seen before. I don't even know what it was. Maybe there was like oil or something. It was like, it looked like it was almost like a brass container with then a flame or a candle on top of it. And then Zach was carrying like a traditional like Phantom of the Opera candelabra.
Yeah, like he looked like he was trying to find an ogre, and Des Brogan looked like he had a shiny mahogany staff with like a gold, like a tiny UFO saucer on top of it.
That is what it looked like.
Yeah, and like a wick. I don't know. I don't know anything about the Masons, but it seemed like something you would have in like a Masonic lodge.
I'm willing to say that. It was very weird. I'd never seen such a thing.
Yeah,
so
I had
first, I was like, okay, the presence of the candles is dramatic in and of itself.
Yeah.
But then Des Brogan explained that they use candles because Mr. Boots doesn't like bright lights. But they were still filming with lights on at this point. They hadn't gone dark. So the bright light was there and the candles were just kind of ornamental, which is fine. I appreciate the drama. I like an ornamental thing.
Absolutely.
But it was strange to say we have these because he doesn't like bright lights, but we're using bright lights at the same time.
And also, Des Brogan has his giant flame UFO, and then Zach has his candelabra, which I think has 3 candles. So together, those are also a fairly bright light. So I'm wondering if Des just really wants an excuse to carry around flame, which if it was me, I would. And
I think so.
You create the story for it, and I hope that's the case because it's awesome.
I absolutely agree. I'm all for it. It's not a problem, but I don't think they have to only use flame because Mr. Boots doesn't like lights. I imagine that this is maybe something they do on tours of the vaults. Yeah. And look, that rules. I would love for that to be a thing, but it falls apart under scrutiny.
Real fast.
Right, because they seem to say that the candelabras have like a very specific purpose, but
we also don't hear about the purpose of the candelabras until they've been carrying them around for a while, so we are just left to be confused for a decent period of time.
That's absolutely true. When they first had them, I was like, "Oh, are we not going to acknowledge this?
we just being creepy and medieval? Cool. I'm down.
Yeah, I can acclimate to it. I just wasn't ready. Yeah.
There is another strange move I'm going to put in this category now that I think about it. So when they first are going to be locked in for the night, Kenny, the caretaker, is the one who locks them in. And Zach is trying to do all this fun banter with Kenny, like, the sun comes up at 6:40. We'll be right here unless we're not. And Kenny looks like he has about 17 things on his to-do list to do tonight before he gets to go home. And locking these yahoos downstairs is like number 3.
It's just one of them.
He has no time for it. He's not interested. He's barely cracking a smile. And when Zach is like, you're going to come find us if we go missing. And he's like, no promises. Like, Kenny just doesn't care.
No. Yeah, you're right. Kenny's got stuff to do.
Kenny is exhausted. He's been here all day. He wants
He's
to go
not here
home.
for the glory.
No.
The last thing I have is a real shorty. It's that during the investigation, they had mentioned that there's a ghost of a cobbler down there, and they call it Mr. Cobbler.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because they're on a Mr. kick from Mr. Boots being a thing.
All I could think about was pastries, and I was like, oh, I could use a Mr. Cobbler.
Oh, I could go for a cobbler right about now.
Oh my God, I'm so hungry.
Always. All right. Let's talk now about the most dramatic moments.
Most dramatic moment.
Yes. Okay. We are above ground. We have not yet descended.
I know what you're doing.
And tour guide Ray McGee, who is in a red coat, and she's wonderful.
Yeah, I loved her.
She's great. She's telling Zach how you know Mr. Boots is around. And she says that he will yell, "Get out. Get out. Get out." And she screams so loud that Zach jumps backwards and swears. We were talking before when we started recording, Kristen, and I was saying, like, Ghost Adventures needs to utilize these tour guides more often because they are prepared to tell these stories in the most engaging and entertaining way possible.
They're literally, that job is almost designed for use on Ghost Adventures and other ghost shows. It's literally completely perfect. They know the perfect history of the place. They know how to perform it.
Yeah, they know it all.
And Bethany was positing that maybe they don't do that because they're almost too good at it.
Yeah.
Like, it might steal a little focus from the main performers.
It might, yeah. And it also might seem not raw enough if, because clearly when you ask Ray McGee, do you know anything about Mr. Boots? You can see her kind of lock into her script. And so she knows what to say about Mr. Boots. And so she does this like performance about it. But it was fun to watch. There was another tour guide that I was obsessed with. The one in all black. His name is Roger Preece. And he refused to not look at the camera. Like, he gave all of his lines straight to the camera and didn't talk to Zach almost at all. I was like, this guy's a performer. This guy's a star.
I noticed this. Yes, he absolutely is. There should be, if there hasn't been already, a show about tour guides.
Yes.
I'm kind of surprised there isn't like a ghost reality show based around the tour guides specifically for these haunted places. Because you're absolutely right. It's like the most natural fit in the world.
Yep. They get all, and they're the ones who know all the history really, really well, but also know the building and see it all the time. And, they go places that you're not supposed to go, and they can, off hours and stuff. That would be fascinating. You should copyright that and start it up.
You know what? I am patenting, because I think that's how these things work.
It is. You
My
just have to
ghost
say
tour
it.
guides. Yep, you say, like Michael Scott declaring bankruptcy.
Or if you ask a cop if he's an undercover cop, he has to tell you.
They have to. There's no way to get around it. So I have a most dramatic moment that Bethany brought to my attention in a text a couple days before I actually watched the show. So we meet an eyewitness to the weirdness at Greyfriars Cemetery, which we've kind of referenced. They visit Greyfriars Cemetery not in the capacity of an investigation, but just kind of exploring Edinburgh because it's a really, really famous place. And they talk to like a witness on the street whose name is Chris Akari, who is a Chris Angel-esque dude.
I called him Scottish Chris Angel.
Yes. And he spells his name kind of like Chris Angel. Chris Angel spells Chris Criss.
Yeah.
And this guy spells it Cryss. They put it up on the screen.
And I think this is about the time that Chris Angel was very big. So
definitely.
Yeah. So this guy knew what he was doing. He was doing it very well. Like,
totally.
I would have watched an illusion show if he was doing it.
Oh, yeah. He was pulling
great.
it off like gangbusters.
Yeah.
And he told them that when he was in the cemetery, he felt something pierce his chest there, and he had to be taken out by ambulance.
Yeah.
Which is, if that's not dramatic, I don't know what is. And another dramatic thing is something that Bethany spotted that I don't know if I would have without you telling me, that there was a lady peeping out from the window behind him.
Yeah. Like, not ghostly in any way, just someone who doesn't know, like, camera etiquette. Like she's probably just an office worker, but she's just standing perfectly still watching the interview out the window. And so you see Scottish Chris Angel, and then behind his right shoulder, you just see a woman just standing there. It's upsetting, but amazing.
If you haven't watched yet, look out for it. Because I feel like I benefited from having this information before I even went into it. Because I was looking and I was like, boop, there she is.
There she is. Yeah, it was crazy. It was awesome. I do think, this isn't a strange move necessarily, but I did write it down that I don't know about you, Kristen, but I think I need to change all of my life goals and just be a tour guide in Edinburgh because they seem like they have the best life.
I know. They all seem cool and nice and like they're enjoying the hell out of themselves.
Yeah, like, and you get to just walk around and it's probably nice and cool down there.
Yes,
and,
that weather is right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, same.
Nice and cool, kind of misty, gray.
Yeah.
I could get into that.
I think when you and I lose it and leave our partners and start a second life, we just go to Edinburgh and become tour guides. Find us in the vaults.
There.
Yeah.
Look, come find us in the vaults. I absolutely agree. It seems like an ideal situation.
No one will get hurt.
No, everybody will be fine.
It's great.
They'll understand.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then let's move on to our final category, Best Quotes.
Best quotes.
I have like 11.
Yeah, go. Go.
My very favorite quote is when Nick is in the room of the pregnant woman who likes to make pregnant women feel sick.
Yep.
And he goes, finally, he's allowed to talk on the damn episode.
Right.
And he goes to the ghost, if I was a pregnant woman, would you hate me? And then he says, knock once for yes, twice for no. Do you hate pregnant woman?
And I have that too.
Which one? Or just generic?
One? You're used to hearing Zach have like a little bit of word salad moments. So it was fun and unexpected to hear Nick say, do you hate pregnant woman? I wonder if he watched that back later and was like, oh.
Like when you think of the awesome comeback when you're falling asleep later that night. I mean, he's like, oh, crap.
That's not right.
It was wrong. I used the wrong tense of woman. What about you? What did you write down? What's your favorite?
So I only have a few. So I'm going to give you my two. And then I think we should just let you go and finish yours up because I want to hear them.
Okay.
I liked it when Zach was talking to one of the tour guides and so the tour guide was saying that Mr. Boots gets mad at people and he kind of lashes out. And Zach says, I want to make him so mad that he takes the biggest rocks he can find and throws them at our heads.
I wrote that down.
Okay. That's an excellent thing to say. It's so very childlike.
Yeah.
It is very specific. And the tour guy was like, oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah,
well,
so it's like it lives in the same house as like my dad is stronger than your dad, or like my dad will beat up your dad.
Yeah.
My dad throw a rock at your head.
Right, exactly. It's just there's a childlike quality to it that really, really jumped out. I wonder how many times I say the word childlike in the course of the show about these grown men, but it's just how
But
it
they
feels.
are.
Yeah, there's an innocence. I guess I wonder if there's like an inherent innocence and childlike quality to hunting ghosts.
That's a really very astute observation.
I
because
wonder.
You believe in things when you are younger that then you are told are not real. And so the act of hunting for ghosts is inherently opening your mind up to like a belief in things that you didn't believe since you were a kid.
Right, exactly. So I wonder if that's kind of where it comes from.
I think so. And I think that there's just a level of earnestness that these guys have too, where it's like, I think you guys talked about this before, but they're not doing it for the audience of skeptics, really. They're doing the show for believers.
Yes,
and so
definitely.
They're not afraid and ashamed to be believers.
Right. I definitely think that that's a thing that's at play.
Yeah. Which I really like.
I do too. My other best quote is that I liked it when Zach said, it's just a little bit of one of those things that's like funny phrasing, so it jumped out to me. He said, Mr. Boots is the demonic spirit said to be attacking the living and the one I want to meet.
He gets lost in the weeds sometimes.
Yes. I think that he said that, and then he's like, and the one I want to meet. He is both of those things.
Yeah, like he doesn't quite know where he's going to end. In that vein, I wrote this down. So this is when he was walking with his umbrella as a cane in the cemetery. He goes, "This place, these things right here, these tombs, they talk. And they're telling us that this place had a lot of death, a lot of darkness. And this may be one of the most haunted places in the world. And we're going to find that out when we get locked down." There's so much happening.
Oh, my God.
He had a lot of, and then here's the thing, he's making this up and he has a lot of ground to cover because he had to walk from a grave to, his point.
To camera.
And it's a lot of ground. Yeah.
It's a lot of literal ground, but also he's covering a lot of information.
Yeah, there's so much he wants to say.
While he's coming over. Have you noticed, because I haven't noticed this really, is there any shift in that sort of Zach as we go through the years? Does he still have that kind of I'm figuring this out as I say it quality?
Yes.
Or do writers start to step in? Okay.
No. Okay, so maybe writers start to step in. He does, but if they are...
he's still putting enough of his own flavor in it.
Yeah, because there are also times that his voiceover has grammatical errors in it. And
that blows my mind. I know.
So I wonder... If there are writers, I wonder if he's not reading it the way it's written, or if, we never lose this flavor. I'll just say that. We never lose this flavor.
I didn't think so, but I was I wonder if I am just painting him with a broad brush or something.
Yeah.
But that's what I was thinking. It's always kind of this.
Yeah, it's this. He's extemporaneously pondering the afterlife while also trying to hit a mark. Right. And none of us could do it. It's hard work.
No
it's
way.
Very hard.
It's patting your head and rubbing your tummy or whatever. It's hard to do.
Literally impossible.
Yeah.
I loved when Zach was in Mr. Boots' room. He goes, "And I'm not leaving. I will not leave. I will not leave from you. Tell me why you don't like me."
I will not leave from you. Tell me why you don't like me.
It was so sweet. It was so sweet.
Oh, it's wonderful. Oh, God.
And also he yells at Mr. Boots, "Are you looking at me in my face?" Which I also thought was very funny. My other favorite quote was when Nick and Aaron go off by themselves and then Zach needs them and he's screaming for them. He's like, "Nick, Aaron." And Nick looks up and listens for much longer than he should have before he goes, "I think that's Zach. We should go get him."
I love that part. I also thought it was very fun to hear Zach yelling from their perspective.
Yes.
Having, I don't know, it gave you a sense of the scope and physicality of this place. Yeah. And you're right, it took them too long to react to the fact that this is Zach and we should go find him.
I was wondering if they were thinking of it cinematically, it's more interesting if we wait, or if they really believed that ghosts are that powerful that it would sound that clear.
Is he mimicking Zach?
No, bro, that's Zach.
Yeah, no, that's actual Zach.
And the fact that that they get lost, which is what all of us would do if we were in catacombs under the ground and we were trying to find someone, we would absolutely get lost.
I wouldn't like that. I'm a little claustrophobic. No. That would freak me right out.
Did you see Grave Encounters?
No.
Oh, you guys should do it as a bonus or a Patreon.
What is that?
It's a found footage movie, basically not mocking Ghost Adventures, but they're Ghost Adventures. And the guy who plays the Zach character I don't remember the name on the show, is good. And it's actually legitimately frightening. And and there's some getting lost and not knowing where you are. It's very good. I highly recommend.
Oh, I'll totally check that out.
It's so good. Don't watch the second one. The second one is trash, but the first one is so good.
I'll stick to the original.
Yeah, stick to the OG. One more of my favorite quotes.
Yeah.
They're hearing the dragging noises going on above them, and Zach goes, "Dude, serious?" And then Aaron goes, "Oh."
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I can't believe that we had acknowledged that. Yeah, he just makes a noise. Like, ugh, that like whole thing.
He had it.
Serious? Oh my, what an exchange.
Aaron is the audience surrogate. Aaron is the everyman. We are all Aaron. And I felt him in that moment because I would have also just been like, I don't have words for this. I'm just terrified and I'm babbling.
I'm just making a guttural noise.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What an excellent sum up. Basically everything is dude serious blah.
Yeah. No, that's the show.
Yeah, it completely is.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? This is our show too. That's the show.
Ding, ding, ding.
Bethany, thank you so much for coming on. This was so much fun. Where can people find you? What projects can people check you out in?
You can find, my podcast is called An Acquired Taste Podcast, and our slogan is, if you've ever felt like you don't belong, you belong with us. So we're just a group, it's a huge, wonderful community. We call our listeners Taste Buds, and they have a Facebook group that is separate from the podcast, and they are amazing people. They've literally saved each other's lives before. Like, you will never find a more supportive group of people.
Yeah, it's so nice.
Yeah, they're wonderful. So listen to An Acquired Taste. That'd be awesome. And then you can just follow me on Twitter. I'm Radio Bethany. On Instagram, I'm Miss Bethany Watson. And my website's bethanywatson.com. Easy like that.
Excellent. And also, I feel like I have to mention, you have a short film called Lonely Hearts that's been doing really well at festivals and things like that. So if you check out Bethany's social media, she always links to ways that you can watch it. I watched it and I loved it. It's really good. And I really think that you guys would enjoy it too. It has like a horror flavor to it.
Definitely. We have three festivals coming up and a fourth that we know about but can't announce. That is pretty awesome. So so I'll keep everyone posted on my socials. But I'm so thrilled. Thank you so much for having me. You guys are amazing. I'm a fan. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. It's very much a mutual appreciation society because we are such big fans of yours. I know Will is so bummed that he couldn't be here, but I'm so glad that you could be. So thank you so much. We'll definitely do it again.
Amazing.
And guys, make sure to check out the Mothership podcast to Ghost Adventures, Guide to the Unknown, where we have 140 some episodes at this point, all about spooky stuff with a particular focus on pop culture. So if you like this show, you'll probably like that show. You can go to gttupod.com to find all the links to check that out. So until next time, I'm Kristen.
And I'm Bethany.
And these were our Ghost Adventures. I would lose my mind at any of these things that happen at a quarter of their power.
Totally.
So